Even though they're supposed to try and get along, South Korea and Japan are sparring over an irrelevant pair of rocks. North Korea declares a no-fly zone, and Indonesia rules on the fate of the Bali Nine. These stories are coming up next. This is the Asia Brief. A very good Tuesday morning to you. It is April 7th, 2015. My name is Steve Miller, and it is my pleasure to spend this time here with you today. Now, when looking at the relationship between South Korea and Japan, there is, of course, a lot of bad blood. And an issue that continuously stirs the pot are a pair of small rocks in the waters between the two nations. Japan on Monday released information about its school curriculum. 13 of 18 textbooks listed the islets as Takeshima and Japanese territory. As a result, South Korean Vice Foreign Minister Cho Tae-young summoned Japanese Ambassador to Seoul, Koro Besho, to deliver a protest message. We call on Japan to make efforts to improve the bilateral ties with sincerity based on spirits of apologies made by previous administrations at a landmark year. Today, Japan is also expected to release their 2015 diplomatic paper reaffirming claim to the islets. South Korea also claims the islands, which it calls Dokdo, and all this is taking place as U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter has joined the region to try and get both nations to play nice for strategic gains. This, of course, is going to sour things a little bit, but who exactly do these islands belong to? There are generally 4 criteria used to determine ownership of land. First is location, and in this case, the disputed islets are slightly closer to South Korea, but essentially lie equidistant from each respective country's major land masses. Historical documents are also used, but both countries have several documents dating back, in some cases, nearly 1,000 years to support their respective claims. The third criteria is acquiescence. Japan, on an annual basis, asserts the islets are theirs, so while there was a period it remained quiet about these islets, it doesn't anymore. And finally, administrative control. South Korea maintains a police garrison on the islets. So taking into consideration this data, the first 3 items balance one another out, leaving the administrative control item the determining factor. That's great for South Korea, but let's be brutally honest. No one aside from South Korea or Japan cares about these islets. The fact that both nations spend a lot of money trying to educate the world about this competing claim, in my opinion, borders on fiscal irresponsibility. But I do have a solution. Neither country is going to change their position on the matter, and South Korea will keep its garrison there, so what's needed is to change the status quo. Therefore, Japan should simply let South Korea have the islets. Japan will score big international diplomatic points for resolving the situation, and South Korea retains control of the land. In my opinion, this is a win-win scenario for both nations. South Korea and Japan both get something positive from its resolution. But sadly, I don't think this is ever going to happen, because what these governments really want are the natural resources that lie below the surface of the water, and more importantly, the territorial boundary markers that go along with having a piece of real estate there. And that's why they continue to fight so hard for it. On Monday, North Korea let it be known that it issued no-fly and no-sail warnings off of its east coast, suggesting it could be setting the stage for a new missile test now that U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter is in the region. South Korean Defense Ministry Deputy Spokesman Na Sung-yong said, "There are no signs of particular movements." Yonhap News Agency said that the no-sail warning had been in effect since April 1st. It also noted that a launch of a mid-range Rodong missile was possible, and the last firing of such was in March of 2014. Some pundits feel that now may be the time for North Korea to strut its power, especially after being snubbed by China to join the AIIB and with U.S. Secretary Carter in the region. Remember, Rand Corporation's Bruce Bennett said that the nation, the DPRK, would carry out its next test when it thought it would be politically advantageous. And now, just may be that time. But what this really is just another desperate call for attention. An Indonesian court refused last-ditch efforts by 2 Australians to have their executions by firing squad stayed. There is no more legal recourse, said the head of the state lawyers team. However, the convicts' lawyers said they would take their case to the Constitutional Court. They have the right to live, and the state attorney knows the law allows them to defend their lives, said Leonard Arpan. The Attorney General has been waiting for outcomes and legal procedures to schedule the execution, wishing to execute 3 other condemned individuals at the same time, but the office did note it could also conduct them in batches. Realistically, this is the end of the line for the Bali Nine ringleaders, and their families need to prepare for that. Well, my friends, those are today's stories, and I hope you'll take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments on Facebook or Twitter. To keep up with more news from the region, please follow Asian News Weekly on Facebook or Twitter. You can also send an email to the show with your questions, your comments, and your feedback. That email address is podcast@asiannewsweekly.net. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with your friends, and if you haven't, subscribe. You can do that on our website, asiannewsweekly.net, here on YouTube, or in your favorite podcast application like iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, my name is Steve Miller, reminding you to be true to yourself and to always be awesome.